Good to see you again, and today on this video I'm going to answer a question that I receive a lot of emails actually, about how much profit can you realistically make selling concrete statuary, or what kind of overhead is there as far as materials versus the sales of concrete statuary. Well, recently I did a little experiment just to kind of get a good idea of just how much material versus product you can actually make, and I want to share it with you. Now, years ago there was actually a very popular book in this industry called Turning Concrete into Gold, and it basically was explaining how if you knew how to use concrete and cement mixtures and that, you could produce items that would make you great profit. And it's true. I've done it my entire life. My parents made their living doing it. My brother and his family did it. So I know firsthand that it works, and I know lots of people that do it. But I have a lot of people that contact me questioning, they're looking at getting into it maybe as a hobby at first, and they just want to know, is it realistic? So I'm going to show you what I did. So here's the deal. For this experiment, I used a single bag, just like this, of a pre-mix concrete mix. Now, there's all sorts of different brands and types. I'm not promoting one over the other. This is one that I get because it's cheap. This bag costs less than $5. I believe it was $4.58 at my local Lowe's store. But I've used the ones at Home Depot and all around. It doesn't really matter. This is a 60-pound bag. Now, when I mixed, I didn't use any special equipment. I used a 2-gallon pail, and I used a simple hand drill with a mixing paddle to blend the cement and the water. And the only thing I added to the mix was a little bit of pure Portland cement. Very little, but I find these pre-mixed bags do not have quite enough Portland cement in them, at least for statuary. They're fine for, you know, putting fences up and things like that, but when it comes to statuary, it needs to be a little richer when it comes to the cement. So I add basically a cup of Portland cement to the little bit of mix that I did each time. One bag of Portland cement at these days is a little under $10. I used less than 1/10 of a bag of that in this entire batch that I'm about to show you. Now, as far as how far this bag will go, obviously it's going to vary depending on what size statues you're making. For this experiment, I used several of my molds that are around this size. These are old molds that I use. As you can see, they're very well used. They still work great. The reason I use these is because I make little statues out of them that when they're all painted up and finished, look like this. As you can see, they're very cute, very detailed. And yes, these are solid concrete. Now, I make these for a very specific reason. I sell them as merchandise at the end of my live shows. Yes, I'm a performer. I've always kept it kind of quiet on here and tried to keep my two lives separate, but I am a stand-up comedian by night, and some of the folks started to figure out that I do rubbermoldman by day and would come to the shows and want to talk shop. So I started bringing some small statues to sell after the shows instead of t-shirts for souvenirs, and folks definitely seem to prefer the statues, so I make those. By the way, though, we are going to start selling them online very soon. We've had a lot of requests. We're just in the process of starting an Etsy shop and possibly putting them on our website as well, so stay tuned for info on that. So, out of one 60-pound bag of material, how many of those little statues did I make? Well, let's take a look, shall we? I saved up every single one on this table, didn't do any further work on them. These are all straight out of the mold. But as you can see, there's a lot of them. In fact, if you were to take the time to count them, there are exactly 60 statues on this table. Yes, they're smaller statues, but 60 of them out of one bag of material that costs less than $5. So how much profit is that? Again, it varies depending how much you would sell them for. But let's just look at some examples. I could sell these as is without doing any more work on them for $5 each even. I sell one of these statues, I've then made back my money on the material. Every single other statue is pure profit. So you're looking at, that'd be $295 in profit, right? However, like I said, I'm gonna clean these up, paint them, and sell those merchandise. Now, when I sell them like that, they go for $20 to $30, but let's just keep it at $20, just keep it simple. So 60 statues at $20, that's $1,200. That means out of one bag of material for less than $5, I was able to produce $1,200 of statuary. So that is an incredible profit margin. So your main investment when getting into this business are just the molds themselves. And I always tell folks, if you're looking at trying this, whether as a hobby or as a little business, start small. You know, literally get some small molds to try, make sure you're good at it, that you don't mind the dirt and everything, because it is a bit of a dirty business, dirty hobby. But if you're good at it, these molds will last for a long time. You can make dozens and dozens and dozens of statues out of each mold. So you just slowly add up over time. Material, you already know that it's cheap. And your equipment, like I said, I used a bucket and a drill. So less than $50, you can have all the equipment you need to start up. So really the main investment for me at this point is not material, it is my time, because I'm gonna take the time to paint every one of these statues so they look nice. But other than that, it is pure profit all the way. So I hope that gives you an idea of just what is possible in this business. Like I said, my family's done it for years. We know full well just how good it can be. But even if you want to do it as a hobby, I think you'll enjoy it. So until next time, see you soon.